Blessed be the name of the Lord. What is the abomination of desolation? Mentioned in the Bible, in the book of Daniel, and repeated by Jesus in Matthew and Mark. It's also repeated in Luke, but in a different way. The latest theology that is very popular, influenced by people like Hal Lindsey, whose predictions never came true, by the way, and others, that theology is very literal. They believe that the Antichrist, should be called a beast, will rebuild the temple, proclaiming himself to be God, maybe sacrificing a pig in Jerusalem, and that's going to be the abomination of desolation. Now, that did happen in, I believe, BC 168, committed by Antiochus Epiphanes, a Greek ruler who went into the temple. But now we're in the New Testament times, and it's hard to believe that in our day and age, somebody like, let's say, Donald Trump would go into the temple in Jerusalem and sacrifice a pig, calling himself God. That would be quite an event. Great television, as Donald said. But first of all, the abomination of desolation is an act disgusting to God. Abomination. And it causes emptiness, desolation. In Daniel, the phrase actually is, I believe, it says, the abomination that makes desolate. Desolate is empty. Daniel 9:27. It says, on the wing of abomination shall come one who makes desolate, until the decree is poured out on the desolator, the one who makes it empty. But there's a simple explanation of these verses, what the abomination of desolation is, not as flashy as Trump calling himself God. If we study the Bible going by traditional principles, such as the Bible explains itself, then you look for the same words and expressions in different cross-referencing sections, compare them versus the other places that talk about the same topics. For example, in this case, in the book of Matthew, Matthew is talking about the abomination of desolation in Matthew 24, which is the clearest outline of the last days. And Jesus talks about, Jesus gives us the how things are going to develop, the sequence of events. And he says there's going to be pre-birth pains, and there will be tribulation, wars, persecution of Christians, lawlessness will increase, and all of that is bad. But then Jesus says in Matthew 24:15, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel standing in the holy place, then flee. If you live in Judea, start running. And it says, let the reader understand. Obviously, it's a difficult passage. Nobody really knows what that means. What is that abomination of desolation? But then in the book of Luke 21, it says the same thing. There will be nation against nation, wars, persecution of Christians. You will be delivered up by parents and brothers, and they will put you to death. But when you see the abomination of desolation, oh wait, it doesn't say that. It says when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then if you are in Judea, flee to the mountains. It's clearly talking about the same sequence of events, but here the abomination of desolation from Matthew becomes Jerusalem surrounded by armies. And bam, that's your clue. The abomination of desolation is Jerusalem surrounded by armies. And the Bible explains itself. It's a very clear, easy conclusion. Now, this view was a traditional view in Christianity, and it is shared by many theologians, not the YouTube theologians, but by real theologians. And what it means is that the abomination of desolation is standing in the holy place. Now, the holy place is not the Holy of Holies or the holy place in the temple. It is the holy land of Israel and the holy city of Jerusalem. They will trample Jerusalem for 42 months. And God is not going to like it. because Israel belongs to God, and the Hebrews are renting it. They're taking care of that land for God. It's been given to the Jews. And whenever Gentiles take over, especially when they try to divide God's land, which is probably going to happen during that covenant signed with the Antichrist, the beast, they are touching the apple of God's eye. And God will take action. And when we compare those two corresponding sequences of events in Matthew and Luke, notice how in Matthew it says, let the reader understand. What is that abomination of desolation? Not many will understand. So let the reader understand. But in Luke, it doesn't say that, because Luke actually explains what it is. You don't have to try to understand it. It's clear as day. It's Jerusalem surrounded by armies. So despite the fact that in 168 Antiochus Epiphanes sacrificed a pig, it doesn't mean it's going to happen again the same way, because the Old Testament was physical, the New Testament is spiritual. And when it says that the men of lawlessness will sit in the temple of God, the temple of God now is our bodies. It's the church. It's Jesus with us. We are the temple of God. So I believe we could paraphrase those verses this way, saying, the beast, the man of lawlessness, will sit in Christian people's hearts, telling them that he is God. And sitting in the temple doesn't necessarily mean anything physical. It could mean he's sitting over the affairs of faith. He's presiding over the religious affairs of Israel or of the whole world. The man of lawlessness will come and sit in Christian's heart, calling himself God. But physically, it is going to be Jerusalem surrounded by armies and conquered, and that's going to be the troubles of Jacob. And that will be physical. But the man sitting in the temple of God will be Satan ruling in the hearts of men, convincing them that he is God. Now, we don't know exactly what the man of lawlessness will do in Jerusalem, physically, literally, after the foreign armies enter the Israeli capital. He will probably do some sacrilegious, blaspheming, anti-godly action, but the main abomination will be conquering Jerusalem, crushing the biblical heritage, causing it to be desolate, because many Jews will die. It's going to be the troubles of Jacob, and many others will flee, making Jerusalem and Israel almost empty. As the beast comes into the Holy Land wanting to rule the world from Jerusalem, because that's what Jesus is going to do in the millennium. And the devil always wants to copy God, so he will try to do the same thing. Everybody wants Jerusalem for some reason. And of course, the reason is God. And that's the event to look out for. If you are waiting for Jesus, if you are expecting his second coming, and if you're waiting for the rapture, this is the event to look out for. First, we're going to have the covenant signed with Israel, and then the next one is going to be Jerusalem surrounded by armies. They will want to divide Jerusalem, make it secular, and the devil will want to take over. And at that point, we will know we are only months away from the rapture. Thank you for listening. May the Lord richly bless you from Zion. Take care. Bye-bye.